A very warm welcome, everybody, to our team principals press conference ahead of the FIA Formula One Miami Grand Prix. With us today, left to right, we have Mattia Binotto, James Vowles, and Fred Vasseur. Very warm welcome to you all. And a question to you all, first of all. FP1 done. Can we start by getting your thoughts on the technical changes ahead of this weekend? Fred, perhaps we could start with you.
Well, I think honestly, it's never easy to do a change during the season, because as soon as you want to change something on the regulation, you are impacting the performance, the relative performance of the car. But I think for once that we were able to do let's say, a good work, even if everybody wants to get more. But at the end of the day, I think we did a step forward, and I think it's a good one.
James?
Similar comment to Fred. I think actually well done to the FIA and well done to the teams for working collaboratively to find solutions very quickly. And it's not one solution. There's sort of 20 or 30 papered and gone through. As Fred says, we're constantly fighting against each other for relative performance, but ultimately this is a change to make sure the sport's in a better place, and it was good to see the teams come together.
Not much to add. I think everything has been said. A great effort. Well done to FIA, to the teams. I don't think it has affected much by the way this weekend. Miami maybe is not the track where you can see it the most. And for us, the FP1 has been so messy that we haven't not noticed the difference. So, but overall, at the end, even from outside, I think the fans watching will not perceive it. Maybe the driver will feel an improvement. Further improvement for the future may be required still. So it has been our first great effort together, but still more to come.
Mattia, keep the microphone. Why don't we continue with you? Alan McNish, his first weekend as racing director for Audi. Can you give us some background into that decision? And why Alan? What does he bring to the team?
Alan he's a great person. He has been a great driver. He knows Audi very well. He knows racing, what's about. He understands the driver's language. He knows what it means being at the pit wall, not only because he has been a driver, but he has been a team principal in a Formula E team. So he knows the paddock, the journalist, is well involved with all our partners. So I think it was an easy decision and a great fit. And for me, overall, it's important to have him at the racetrack, being racing director. I can fully trust him because of his experience. Already this morning, he was an easy plug-in in our organization. And that somehow helped me. I'm not there at all races. He is the one that will represent the team when being on track. And that's, again, he will do very well, have no doubt. He has proven in past his capabilities, and furthermore, I think he's already enjoying it. I saw him at the pit wall with a smile, even through, as I said, a messy session, so that's a good start.
And Mattia, this feels like a bit of a restart for Formula One after the break. Can we just get your thoughts on the season so far, and which element of performance the focus is on back at the factory?
Obviously, for us, it has been a new start as well as a project, Audi F1 project. From Sauber to Audi, it's brand new regulations. And I have to say, overall, we are pleased for what we have achieved so far. It's very easy to make things wrong in F1, and you can see around us, other teams have more difficulties. So as a brand new team, brand new manufacturers, we are pleased. Pleased doesn't mean to be satisfied. There is much to come. Our ambition is very high. Our long-term ambition is very high, and when we look at the performance on track, still there is a big gap to the top competitors, which it's not a surprise. Top competitors are very strong organizations, well-established organizations, and we know that in order to close that gap, there is a lot that need to be done. Whatever is people, team size, infrastructures, capabilities, tools. But when assessing the performance on track, then I think the most obvious is the gap we've got on the power unit, which again for us is not a surprise, was expected. And being brand new engine manufacturer, you may expect such a gap to the best somehow organization. But here we've got plans ahead. It's not a matter of being desperate. On the opposite, I think it's assessing where we are. It's a big and huge gap, we believe. But we've got a plan of development for the future, and we are focused on that.
Mattia, thank you for that. I'm sure there'll be some more questions for you in a minute. James, why don't we come to you next? Now, it's been a frustrating start for Williams in 2026. How much progress do you feel you've made this weekend after the break?
Yeah, a really messy winter, and the break gave us an opportunity to reset, take a breath, catch up, form a plan for not just Miami, of which we brought upgrades here, but really what we're doing now across everywhere up until the end of the season to put ourselves back into a sensible position fundamentally. And I'm proud of the work that the team did. There was every area was basically working at maximum capacity, and that's despite a difficult winter where people were putting in big hours. However, that the gap is so large from where we are to the front that I'm sure we've made a small step into that, but it is a small step, and we need to keep doing that across the number of races in the future in order to make a tangible difference. So positive first session, but it is literally just one session, and the gaps are still large.
So what does success look like for Williams over the remainder of 26?
For me, it's as we get to where we finish developing the car, which will be after the August break, that the car is sensibly back to being the top of the midfield with everything in a sensible position building on next year's car. In other words, the engineering we're doing, so the engineering that's been done over the last 5 weeks is all the weights removed from the car, plus it's not delivered yet, but the engineering work is complete, plus another 10 kilos on top of that. That's a sensible step. Pit stops are back to being in the top 3, top 4. There's 150 pit stops completed, that we bring aerodynamic performance that translate on track. So here we've had an air update and exhaust blowing, although Fred was taking the mickey out of me that it's a tiny little slither for weight saving. But it's still good to see it's still good to see that across the board we have about 40-50 performance projects, and that when they come, that they do deliver the performance we're expecting.
That's a nice segue into my final question to you. All HR departments have been busy in the last few weeks, but you have announced Dan Milner, ex-Mercedes, joining the team. When will his influence permeate through onto the car?
It's already starting now. So Dan's someone I worked with for many years at Mercedes. We've also had Claire Simpson from Mercedes join us today. It's her first starting day. We'll go through and do announcements on all this shortly. But there's some great people coming over the next 3 months, fundamentally 3-4 months. No, there's more than that. But the impact that Dan has made, to your question, is already very significant and very quick. So we are doing swathes of work that he has experience on, and actually we're taking a slightly different direction as a result of his input that's already come through now. And what I enjoy about Williams is there is no resistance to change for greatness. In other words, what I mean by that is we will point ourselves in the right direction and follow along with that, as long as there is clear ambition and drive to this being at a championship level. And Dan brings that.
Okay, thank you for that. Fred, let's come to you now. A lot of upgrades on the car this weekend. What's the initial feedback from the drivers?
It's positive, but I think also that we have to keep in mind that it's the first session of the season with a so hot track temperature, and this is dominating everything, I think, for everybody. But overall, the first feeling is positive, and but we'll see the real feedback and the real feeling after the quali.
And what about the opening 3 races? Podiums in all of them. How do you reflect on the job done so far?
It's perhaps difficult to draw a conclusion after 3 events, but clearly Mercedes is a step ahead. They did 3 pole positions, 3 wins, that nobody can say something else. Overall, I'm quite happy with the fact that we didn't let a single point on the table, that efficiency is key, and everything went well on our side. That I don't want to speak about potential, but strategy, pit stop, everything, that it means that we probably maximize the number of points that we were able to score on the first 3 events. But still a long way to go.
You don't want to talk about potential. I'd love to ask you about potential, because both drivers have said this is a really good car, and I'm talking about the chassis. How much potential do you think it's got?
But this, we are all at the beginning of the development. We took probably different directions, and only the future will tell us if it was the good one at the beginning or not. That we'll see later on during the season. But development for these races and the next one, that we are still on the phase to have a high rate of development. It's true for us, but it's true for everybody. And we will see after 6-7 races, perhaps something a bit more stabilized.
Okay, thank you, Fred. Thanks, guys. Let's now open this to the floor, and we will begin with the broadcasters, please.
Thank you, Rachel Brooks, Sky Sports F1. Fred, could I ask you, first of all, there is this ADUO, as it's being called, the additional development upgrade opportunity. Do you believe that your Ferrari power unit will fall just outside of that 2% in terms of you'll be able to use this opportunity for your power unit?
Honestly, I think so, but I think everybody has the same feeling and at least the same quotes. Now that we have to trust the FIA, they will come back to us with numbers soon, and we have to rely on this. But at the end of the day, that it's we are speaking about percent, and I know perfectly that it's not easy to assess. But if you have overall a look on the straight line speed, that it's okay.
Sandra Baumgartner, Sky Sport Germany. Hi, Fred. I want to talk to you about the Macarena wing. So was it just testing today, or do you really plan to run the wing on this weekend?
No, we are, from today, we will keep the Macarena on the car.
Okay, thanks.
Mara San Giorgio, Sky Sport Italy. A question for all three. The first three races have also left some question marks from those watching this F1. How is F1 responding to this, and what do you say to those is calling for the return to V8 engine?
Who'd like to start with that? Mattia?
Yeah. As first, I should say what are the comments of our drivers. Our drivers are enjoying the current format. And I think it has been a big changes to the past. Everyone need to adapt to the past, to the changes. But overall, I think if you look and you watch the races, for the fans, it has been a great show as well. Overtaking since the very first race, close fights, which is not obvious when you got such a big discrepancy on the regulations. So I think the format is a great format, and F1 remains a platform for innovation at the edge of the technology. The fans know that behind there is a technical challenge. So what will be the future? I think it's too early to say. Certainly we start discussing it with FIA. We will, I think, sit down, discuss what's the best for the F1, but I would not be so negative on the current format. Overall, I think it's a good format. We have slightly changed the regulation to fine tune it, try to improve. Maybe we'll do furthermore in the future in the next seasons. But I think we should be also somehow as well positive on what we can see. And if you look in the past, I think there have been era where the Formula One was more boring. So overall, I don't think we should be so negative. Audi has always looked for high efficiency engines, and I think that's important to us. And we'll certainly discuss with FIA what's the best compromise for the future.
Jay?
I mean, easier for me to talk about because I'm not a PUM, so I can only give you opinion on this one. But I would say in Bahrain and then post-Shanghai, the FI and teams have been very collaborative on having discussions about is the product in the right place and what can we do to tune it. And that's why you see the changes now. And exactly to Mattia's point, I'm confident we'll go back to the table after this and make sure we're in the right direction of travel. If there's more changes needed, review those for what they look like in the future. But that openness just shows you that we as a sport are aware that I think we still have a great product. I think there's always refinement we can do, and we're looking for that pathway to what is the best outcome. This is now into opinion because I don't have to make a PU, but I'd love a V8 back. I miss those days.
Yeah, Mara, that I would be less harsh than you on the show of the first three events. Honestly, that we had good races, a lot of overtakings. You can say that perhaps you have the feeling that it's a bit artificial, but for me, it's much less artificial than the DRS. DRS was just to push on the button. Today, it's energy management, and it's coming from the drivers or from the team. It's not artificial at all. And I would say that for sure we have to fine-tune, we have to adapt, and as Jem said before, that we, thanks to the FIA, we had the capacity to discuss, after each event, to try to improve the system. Once again, it's not easy to do it during the season, but we are, I think, all collaborative with this. Regarding the future, that we have a different option on the table, I think it will be soon time to discuss about the different options with, but from the beginning, we have one parameter in mind, is also to reduce the crazy budget of the engine. And this is for the PU manufacturer, but also for James and the customers. And for the benefit of the F1, I think that now we can discuss about all the opportunities, and we'll have time to do it soon.
Okay.
Thank you. James, you mentioned the work that was done in that break and the amount of weight the car had lost. Could you just clarify for us the figures? I heard you mention 10 kilograms. Is that what you've lost, or is that what's left? What are the figures at the moment?
No, but thank you for noticing. It's a couple of kilos. It's been a hard. No, what I was mentioning there was the engineering work that they've completed is all of the weight out of the car and 10 kilos below. So that's the engineering work that's been complete. It's not delivered to the car because in cost-cut world, it's just not efficient to do that anymore. You've got to be careful about bringing product to the track at the point where it's effectively out of life and out of cycle. But what I'm pleased about is already the demonstration that we can engineer the car at the right level to have it at the right weight is complete and done. That's what I'm looking for out of the business. The production of it will take a bit of time now. In terms of weight here, it's a couple of kilos, and every race will be a couple of kilos fundamentally.
Thank you for that. Right, let's bring in the written media now. Please remember to give your name and publication. Who's first?
Scott Mitchell from The Race. A question for Mattia and to Fred. What's your understanding of where the discussions around any engine ADUO changes have got to? When do you think you'll know what you can do, and when has it left the engine manufacturers in a bit of limbo at the moment on what happens next?
I don't think we are in a limbo, because as a matter of fact, there is a regulation in place, and the regulation somehow state clearly where we are by when the assessment will be completed, which is after the 6th race of the calendar, and what will be in case of ADUO, or let me say gap to the best, the opportunity of extra development budget dyno hours. So we are not in a limbo. What we have discussed in the last weeks with FIA, how we may support maybe manufacturers which are in a true difficulty, far behind on their, let me say, plans or programs. And so far we have not achieved an agreement, but that doesn't mean we are in a limbo. It means that simply we stick to what we've got at the moment. I'm pretty sure that FIA will come back again with some more discussions, and we will be supportive certainly to discuss that with them.
Yeah, not that much to add, but I'm fully okay with Mattia that the situation is crystal clear, that the only open point perhaps is that, as we said, it was after race 6. Is it race 6 of the initial calendar or race 6 of the new calendar? But on the mechanism, on what you can do, the dyno hours and so, that this is crystal clear. The parameters to consider the performance are also clear from the day one. And I don't see any issue on the current situation.
Okay, thanks both. Next.
Ian Parks, Racing News 365. Question for you, James. James, you mentioned at the start that it had been a messy winter for Williams. For a team that started looking at these regulations, probably the earliest of any of the teams last season, why did that prove to be the case? And just a follow-up question, Carlos Sainz mentioned yesterday that it would be unlikely that the team would shed all the weight off the car until late in the season. Why is also that going to take so long now as well?
So why messy? We made a lot of changes a few years ago, putting in ERP, PLM systems, different ways of doing planning, different ways of structuring, different ways of working. And this was the first proper car build where all of those brought into account. I think we have made some mistakes on some of that software that we've been using. It was our first proper go at planning a completely new regulation car from start to finish. And when we went through effectively a global review of all of that, it's tiny, small details, but hundreds of them starting to add up. So there's just inefficiencies across the board that weren't taken into account and only came to light once you started stressing the system. Whilst we started early in the wind tunnel, no doubt about that, we did not start the build of the car early, because what you want to do is keep all of that goodness in the wind tunnel as long as possible. And we wanted to stress ourselves to the point of not quite a championship team, but more aggressive than we had done before. The car we produced is the most complex. It doesn't matter if I use number of parts, it's about 2 times the number of parts. It doesn't matter if I use the number of parts in the chassis or the time it took. All of it was about 1.5 to 2 times more complex. And it didn't go smoothly through much of that process. And your reaction, it might not seem this way, but your reaction once that starts to happen is there's very few alternatives. You can't really go to outside manufacturers because they're all booked up by other individuals, that state. So once you start falling behind, you're in trouble. Then there was a number of crash tests, but some were passed incredibly well. Some were difficult, frankly, and that put load back into a system at a very difficult point as well. Once you start running out of time, weight is quite an easy addition to effectively get a part through to make sure that you're in a sensible place. So it comes basically into a heavy car very quickly as a result. So that's sort of a ballpark summary of it. Why does it take so long to get the weight up? As I said, the engineering work's done, so the designers aren't designing fundamentally, but you have to make sure you're printing the components in a way that makes sense. So in other words, we could take out, and we have this weekend, several kilos out of the floor because we've done a new floor. I don't want to just make exactly the same front wing being several kilos lighter. That doesn't make any sense to anyone. So you've got to body that into an aerodynamic update at the same time. And so that's the efficient way in cost cap of doing it. We could right now take out, if there's no cost cap, print the other bits in the car, we have capacity, we take out pretty much all the weight. But there's some mechanisms that we have to do along that journey. It's painful, but it's balancing adding aerodynamic performance as well as weight reduction.
Thank you. Next.
Stuart Codling, Autosport. Yesterday, this is a question for all of you, by the way. Yesterday, Lewis Hamilton said it's high time the drivers had a seat at the table when it came to discussing and formulating the new technical regulations. I was wondering what your thoughts are on how feasible and desirable that would be and how it would actually work, because presumably one seat at the table, fine. 22, you're going to need a bigger table.
We are still looking for the table. But but I think a good example was that drivers, they were part of the discussion on the modification of the engine that the last couple of weeks. It went well. For sure, they have different point of view, and it's not always easy to find a compromise, but they are part of the discussion, and they will be part of the discussion, as we are also on our side listening them and discussing with them and bringing somehow their feedback to the FIA when we are discussing about the regulation. They are not excluded at all of the system.
A mirror of that. So I know Carlos was, for example, consulted. Nicholas did a good job by bringing him on board, asking the questions before we went through this regulation change to make sure he and others were part of that process. I think the facts are behind it. We're already probably too many around the table to discuss, because you just end up going around in circles. Adding 5 more of us isn't going to help. But what is taking place in the background now, for example, there's a forum overnight making sure the drivers can fill in their views on certain aspects of things. And I think having a representative either pre-meeting with the FI or in the meeting is probably somewhat sensible. We just need to make sure that we're not driving towards the direction of one PU manufacturer and using bias, that we really do hear the opinion of what's required from the drivers.
Nothing to add.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Alex Kanalokis, The Athletic. A question to Fred, please. Fred, a couple of races ago, Charles Leclerc became the second most experienced Ferrari Formula One driver. And at the current rate, he'll overtake Michael Schumacher in 2027 and be the most experienced. What do you think that says about his place in the team's history and his achievements and longevity at the team? Thank you.
It's Charles is into the team for ages, that he was into the academy before to go to Sauber and to come back to Ferrari. He's part of the performance for sure as a driver, but also of the development of the integrity of the team and the team spirit. That I'm not a big fan of statistic, and I don't know when he will be the number 1 or the number 2. And we are much more focused on performance, a short-term performance, that about statistic for 27 or whatever.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down everything important from the Miami Grand Prix 2026 principal press conference, featuring Ferrari's Vasseur, Audi's Mattia Binotto, and Williams' James Vowles. There are some very interesting developments, especially around Ferrari upgrades, long-term strategy, and where teams are heading in 2026. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with Ferrari. Honestly, we heard that Fred Vasseur confirmed that Ferrari has brought incremental targeted upgrades to Miami. Nothing radical visually, but very, very incremental. But under the surface, these are the important things. So we are talking about the floor reinforcement aero efficiency tweaks and improve the tire management focus. Vasseur made it clear Ferrari is no longer chasing big upgrade packages like in previous seasons. Instead, they're going for consistent, small gains race by race. And also, here they see that also both of the drivers are impacting their time. They're trying their best to also help with the improvement of the car so they can be much more faster in the straights, and also try to do the tire management in a more professional way. And that's actually a big shift in philosophy. He emphasized that the goal right now is the stability, the predictability, and maximizing every weekend. Another key point, Ferrari seems much more confident in their correlation between simulator and track, which has been a major weakness in the past years. So now they're also updating themselves in the things that they were very weak. So in one word, I can say that Ferrari is coming back to the old days that they were, and while having a driver just like Lewis Hamilton, that he has a lot of expertise and he can help with the team, he also does the upgrades on the car by himself, also in correlation with the engineers, and he also has let's say a hand in the building of 2026 car of Ferrari. Now, reading in between the lines, this tells us that Ferrari believes the car concept is already strong enough and they're refining rather than fixing. That's a huge difference compared to the previous seasons where Ferrari was constantly reacting. Also interesting, Vasseur avoided any hype. So he didn't say that Ferrari is the fastest, instead he focused on execution. That usually means that one thing, they believe they're close, but not quite there yet. He is just trying to say that, hey, I don't wanna keep my hopes high, but keep an eye on Ferrari, because it's gonna be something that is gonna be really interesting in this race, and they are quite fast in the previous races. In this race, they are quite fast. Moving on to Mattia Binotto, he honestly is fascinating. Binotto is fully focused on Audi's 2026 entry, and he made it clear this is a long-term project, not a quick win. He also talked about building infrastructure, strengthening technical department, and creating a German-level structured team. One key takeaway, Audi is prioritizing power unit integration and efficiency for the new 2026 regulations. That's massive, because in 2026 is all about hybrid power balance, electrical deployment, and energy management. Binotto basically confirmed that Audi is putting most of its energy into getting the engine right first. And honestly, that's smart, because if they nail the power unit early, they can become a serious contender by 2027, 2028, because as we know, Audi is just new to this sport, and it has a lot of potential. In the other way, we have James Vowles. Vowles was probably the most transparent out of everyone. He openly said that Williams is still in a rebuilding phase, and Miami upgrades are more about learning than performance jump. His key points that he mentioned are the infrastructure is still being improved, the processes are still being rebuilt, and the results will take time. But here's the most important part. Vowles sounded confident, not in short-term results, but in the direction of the team. He basically said that we're building something sustainable. He said that also the drivers are starting to feel the car much more and starting to feel much more confident by driving it. And that's really important to the team. And if you've been following Williams, you know that's exactly what they needed after years of instability. So what does all this mean by these team principles, let's say? if we see Ferrari part, they are more disciplined, more structured, and focused on consistency over hype. So now they're just not concentrating on saying big things. Now they're concentrating on showing the big things. So they are changing all their psychological methods, psychological strategies. So they are doing things to show the people, not to tell them with words. So they are working in silence and then showing that into the track. Audi is playing long game. They just have the new race director. He just came from Formula E. I don't know his name. I'm sorry about it. You can Google it if you want. And their first priority is the 2026 engine. They're trying to improve it and make the car go much more faster. And they are not chasing the short-term headlines. So they are working for let's say 2027. But they are not in a bad place if we see it at the moment. Williams of James Vowles is still rebuilding. They as James said, they had a lot of problems in the past, and now with the new regulations that the three of the team principals praised FIA working directly with the teams and improving the regulations. We are happy about it because the new regulations are much more better than the old ones that were. But finally, Williams is moving in the right direction from words of James Vowles. And honestly, this press conference for me personally showed something very interesting. The grid is stabilizing. Teams are no longer panicking or making a desperate move. Everyone has a plan, and the thing is that who will execute it in the best manners? That's the best thing that matters the most. Let me know what you think about it. Is Ferrari actually ready to fight consistently in this season with Mercedes, that they are in front and they are in the back? And do you believe that Audi in the future can become the top team in the new few years? But I don't know. For me, like this is an unpredictable sport. You know that I say that all the time, and everything can happen. Like maybe Williams will be the champion of next year. Who knows? Drop your thoughts on the comment box down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. And if you like what we do with our videos, liking and subscribing would help us really, really much. Thank you one more time, and see you in the next one.